Okay, so if you want to know how to make a sound like this, then keep watching. So what I've done is I have turned everything off, and I'll just go through each oscillator at a time, and then at the end what the modulations are and what the effects are. So starting off with oscillator A, we've got saw drift 303. The octave is set to -1, and the wavetable is all the way down. I've got the unison set to 16, and I've got the detune all the way up to 0.74. I have got the sync set up on the warp module on mode 2, and that is set up at 1.8%. Moving on to oscillator B, I've got the saw drift oscillator. -1 on the octave, -4 on the fine. We have got, also on oscillator A, the random is set to 30. So random's all the way down on oscillator B, with the wavetable position up at 40, and the unison is set at 12. I've got the detune set to 0.25. And then on the warp module 2, I've got bend minus. That is currently all the way down. I think actually I did have a bit of modulation going on that, and I ended up sacking it off. So oscillator C is the default shapes. The wavetable position is all the way down, and the unison is set to 11 with the detune knob set to 0.31. I've also got the soft clip distortion set up on the warp drive 2, and then the warp drive module, and that is set 64%. So currently the sound that we've got is sounding like this. So it's already sort of like getting to where we want it to go. So next what I've done is the filter, I've got that set to a PN12. That is affecting A, B and C oscillators. The filter cutoff is set at 7545 Hz. The resonance is up at 29%. I've increased the drive as 36%, and the filter variance is set at 29%, and that makes it like this. So the filter gives it quite a bit more character. The first distortion is set up as diode 2, so I've got pre-highlighted, move the slider to the middle, and we've got the frequency set at 761 and the Q set at 4.3. Drive turned down to 25% and the mix turned down to 43%. So if I bypass that, and what I've also done is the LFO2 is set up on a 1/8, just on the triangle that it loads up with, and that is connected to the frequency. So it's just giving that distortion a bit of movement. So the next thing I've got is the filter. So that is set to Comb HLX6. And the cutoff is set to 63 Hz. The envelope 1 is controlling that, and I've just cranked that up a little bit just to make it move every time you touch the key. The resonance is set to 57%. The drive is set to 31%, which makes it like this. Then next there's another distortion. So for this one I've used Stomp Box, and I have used the pre again, and I've got the slider all the way over onto the high pass. The frequency is set to 32. The Q is set to 1.5, drive set to 25%, with the mix at 59%, and that makes it like this. And then finally a bit of EQ just to sculpt the sound, taking out any lows. So we've got a low cut with a boost on the high, which makes it like this. And then what I've also done on this preset is I've got a macro I've got a macro. One is wetter and one is clean me. So what wetter does, if I turn on the in bus 1 I've got reverb, hall reverb, little bit of cut on the low, cranked up the size a bit, pre-delay's up and the decay is up, and then distortion on that reverb, which is the overdrive, set to off, and the frequency in the Q hasn't been touched. So all I've done is turned down the drive a little bit, left the mix right up, and then EQ again just to sculpt that reverb sound, just so there's not too much high, not too much low coming through. And then what that does, as I turn up the macro, and the way that I've done that is that the macro knob is set to the send of each oscillator on the mix console. So each of these I've got, you just drag that up, drag it onto whichever knob you want, and then it will control all of them at the same time. The final thing I've got is the clean me macro, which does this. And all that's doing is turning down the detune on each one of these. So turning down the detune on oscillator A, oscillator B and oscillator C. So all the way up is turning the detunes all the way down. So that's it. Use that, make it your own and enjoy.